Hey guys, it's Core Ross and welcome to the 6 News channel. So today we're going over the designer notes for Year 5 Season 3.3, which I like to call it the mid-season balancing, although the developers no longer call it that. So let's start. We are going to basically go over this, and we've already been in the patch notes over in the Core Ross channel, and these are the designer notes of the patch notes, which is just basically the developers explaining why they've done stuff. Because of course everybody freaks out as soon as they read those patch notes. You know, there's always someone going crazy about it. So let's go through all this stuff. So let's start with the balancing graphs. So this here is the attackers. We have, of course, Glass doing terrible, absolutely horrendous. So he is getting a bit of a buff, but it's a tiny buff. It's not going to do much to his win rate or pick rate. And right now he is just doing terrible. We can see Blitz is pretty high up there. We've got Ace over here doing very well in the overpicked high, in the overpicked and too strong category. That's why he's getting a nerf. We can see that Ashe is getting picked a lot. So is Zofia, although Ashe is not winning as many games as Zofia. Then we have the rest of the operators not looking too bad. Zero has actually managed to come in bang on in the middle of the graph, which is impressive. And he's in there with Twitch. Other notable operators are Sledge. He's doing very well when it comes to pick rate, but his win rate, nothing too special. Blackbeard is doing very good for win rate, and his actual pick rate is not too bad. Surprised they're not actually hitting him with a, just a tiny little nerf when it comes to where he's currently sitting in that graph. And the rest are quite well kind of congregated in the middle there, although we do have a lot of operators in the underpicked category. I'm actually surprised to see Gridlock so low because I enjoy using her, and I find our gadget to actually be very useful. But no major standouts that I can see. Let me know if you guys are seeing anything else in that graph, because of course these are open to interpretation. Then we've got defenders. So Jaeger, still a massive pick rate. It seems at this point the developers don't seem to be taking any direct action against him, so he appears to be safe from like nerfs and stuff. I'm assuming at some point they will do something, but I guess considering his win rate is actually below the the baseline, then I assume that maybe they're not too worried. We can also see that Melusi is very powerful right now, and that's why she is getting a weapon switch. And the Valkyrie is also doing pretty good. Then we have Clash doing the worst along with Castle, and a range of operators in the center there, not looking too bad. And again, this is very much open to interpretation. But the crazy thing is, Tachanka, what the hell? Over the last, I think it's been a good 3 or 4 seasons, he has been going up and up and up. And now he is apparently winning far more games than he's losing. And of course, these graphs, if you didn't already notice, they're PC Platinum and above. And Chanka is doing insanely well. And of course, he's about to get reworked and become a completely different operator, basically. So how the hell did he turn around to end up becoming, before he gets basically deleted and replaced, how did he become good? What? I'd love to know what's been going on there. But again, looking at it, no other standout operators. Like, we've got Legion, Smoke, and Bandit getting picked quite a bit, but they're not winning too great, although Bandit's not doing too bad. And the operators in the center seem to be doing actually rather well. There's no, usually we see a good couple of operators way further down the graph than this. So overall, I would say kind of impressive, to be honest, for the defenders. It's not too bad looking. Now they do mention here, with only 1% presence, Tachanka is not played often. But when he gets chosen, the Lord enforces his power and provides the highest win delta for the defenders. Amazing. Like, even though he's only getting, he's only getting picked 1%, that is still crazy. I guess maybe when it's like an unbalanced game and the enemy team is just, wrecking, maybe that's when he gets picked, just as a kind of ha-ha to the enemy team. So yeah, maybe that's how he's actually winning so much. Just that kind of meme pick, Then we got operator ban rates. So Thatcher getting banned the most, then actually Monty, Blackbeard, and Jackal right up behind them. Again, this is PC Platinum and above. So this is the high ranking players' ban choices. Ace is kind of up there too, and then the rest of them, line off the end there and everything down to 1%. Then we've got ban rate for defenders. So Mira up here at 70%. Understand why she gets picked, a very tactical choice. Same with Echo. And Melusi actually up here quite high as well. So people are not liking to fight against her, and that is interesting. And then just like the lower levels, we've got Clash getting banned quite a lot. Valkyrie getting banned quite a lot. Of course, Valkyrie is very good for intel. And then we get a few others dropping off. And yeah, interesting to see who is getting banned there. So let's move on to balancing. So of course, this is potentially huge. Let's start with Ace. So his Selma is now going to destroy 2 strips instead of 3. I can't wait to jump on the test server and actually try this out. And yeah, like I've said a few times, I don't expect this to actually have a huge impact because he's still going to be having a lot of utility, a lot of use, and still going to be a very, very good operator. But obviously it could make playing him slightly different, and that might put people off. And they do say here that they want to get people like playing Thermite and stuff. They want to have him picked more because Ace just has too much kind of a utility right now. And they say here, our investigation on his performance led us to witness that his hard breaching gadgets are very effective and have less downsides than Thermite for a similar result. And I would say they still do, even with just 2 strips, they're still more useful than Thermite's charge. But Thermite's charge, if you watched my video on that, is way faster. It is way faster to get through a wall and make a massive hole with Thermite, although of course it is a bit more dangerous and you only have 2 of those charges. Now this one's a massive one, so Frost is getting the little mini shotgun on our secondary. This is going to be huge, and I think a lot of Frost players are going to love this. And they even mention a pretty good strategy in here where they could potentially use the shotgun to create new rotation holes, but specifically to lure in attackers. So you make the hole so they actually have to vault in, and then you put the mats on the other side, which I'm stealing that. That's a nice tactic. I'll be having that a go. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be good for her, and I can't think of any downsides to that. I also don't think it's going to make her OP. It'll just make her much more useful. They also mentioned something that I've noticed as well, which is Frost's efficiency currently relies on how often she is played. And that's exactly how I play her. Like, I will not pick her for like 80% of our ranked game. Then I'll suddenly pick her at the end because, of course, at that point, people are just not expecting the traps. And that's where you can get more. Whereas if you play her every single round, they're going to be looking every single time for those Frost traps. So, yeah. But let's move on from that. We've got Glass. So these are both buffs, but like this one doesn't sound like a buff, but apparently it is. So they've reduced division recovery to 0.4 seconds instead of 1. And this one, which I'm not sure what it means, is reduced movement penalization by 50% from 6 seconds to 12 seconds. So I assume what this is when you move, it takes longer for the seen through smoke effect to disappear. And I think that would, of course, be a nice improvement. And as we've seen on their balancing graphs, Glass is doing the worst right now out of the attackers. I don't see this actually fixing him. It's not going to push him that far up. I think it's going to be a minor movement overall. But I expect the reason that it's kind of a minor change is they want to push him up gradually. You know, every kind of mid-season, they'll probably give him a buff and he'll eventually end up. Because if they give him too much of a buff, he'll go flying up and then they'll have to fix it. So that's what I'm thinking they're going to do. So yeah, a little buff there for Glass. Then Melusi and Oryx. So they're switching weapons. So Melusi is getting the MP5 and Oryx is getting the T5. And Oryx is also getting the 1.5x on the T5, which is goddamn good. So yeah. And I think this is not a surprise because Melusi is powerful. She's a good gadget. She's a good operator, good weapon, very, very useful. Oryx is not as good an operator and he's got a less powerful gun. So switching their weapons to me does make sense, and I'm not upset at this at all. And I'm going to probably play a bit more Oryx after this buff comes alive, but definitely I could see Melusi dropping down quite a bit. Now if we go literally look at that graph again, so here she is. You can see she is getting picked a lot and she has a very high win delta. And of course we see in the ban graphs that she's quite highly banned as well by these platinum above players. So yeah, I understand why they have decided to do that. And then if we have a look at Oryx, who's hiding just here, he is not getting picked much, but he is actually winning, but he's just not getting picked much at all. So yeah, I could see that having a dramatic effect on both these operators. I could definitely see Melusi going down and Oryx coming up, but will that be enough for Oryx to push up? We'll see. Of course, Tachanka is getting his rework and they've taken the 1.5 off his SMG. So yeah. And yeah, of course, that'll be on the test server. We've gone over that on previous videos on Chanka Rework, and we'll be getting our hands on it when the test server goes up, which will be very soon. Then we have this. This is just going to be tested. Like, there's no way to explain all of this well until I get my hands on it. The biggest takeaway is that you're going to be able to guard break shield operators with either explosives or sonic pulses from Echo or melee, as they say here. And of course, guard breaking makes them vulnerable. But they even mentioned that you can guard break Montang. So he might not be able to just stand in a corner now with his shield up and be completely protected. You might literally just be able to go over, melee him, and then shoot him when his guard breaks down. So potentially huge. It also could be a big nerf to Clash, although she already kind of has a guard break. So it might just be the same as it was for her previously. They're also going to take increased damage from explosions now, because previously they would take 8% less damage. They're now taking 66% less damage. So that's a big difference. Operators, though, who are behind the shield, they even mentioned that when the shield's on the back, it will also reduce damage as well. So it's going to be interesting again to test with and see how it works. But it's a massive nerf to shield operators. And I could see this having a huge effect overall on just everything about those operators. And especially things like an impact grenade potentially could get you killed now. You know, throw that at a shield operator, they get, you know, guard broken, even though that'll be a lesser guard breaking, because it is going to be up to 100 damage will change the guard break. So that means a nitro cell will guard break you significantly, whereas an impact grenade will only do it for a short term or only reveal part of you. But still, an impact grenade from range doing a guard break, potentially getting you killed, that's going to be sucking for shield operators. But yeah, I want to reiterate, this is going to have to be tested. We're going to have to sit down, play with it, and probably sit there for a couple of days just seeing how it works and how it plays out, because it's going to be significantly different. Then we've got the slug firing shotguns, specifically these ones. We of course have the Boss G as well, but it's not getting touched. But these are all getting buffed significantly. So they're going to have a less damage drop off. It's now going to go to 50 meters before it reaches minimum damage, which it used to be 20. And they've also increased maximum range from 48 to 68. And suppressors are going to reduce the damage less. So it used to be that it would kind of increase as the range went up. So it's now going to be kind of 12% all round. So really good. And they both got exactly the same changes. So yeah, I think this is amazing. So that is going to be something else for both those guns. And the reason is that Kaid and Goyu don't get picked enough, so they're kind of buffing their weapons. And for Alibi and Maestro, they both have what they consider to be better weapons, the MX4 Storm or the Alda. This gives them more of a reason to pick this gun. So yeah, this pretty significant buffs. We'll have to test it out, but this is going to be huge when it comes to just making these guns much more viable than they are. Because of course, in the last, when we've seen this season come out, they got a great big buff. Now they're getting an even better buff, I would say, overall. Then we have talks of optics down here. This is going to make people really sad. So the community requested the possibility to equip any 1x to any weapon. From our perspective, some elements of these optics are only a matter of preference and have no direct impact on actual performance of an operator. So with this sentence, it sounds like these sights don't have major balancing changes to operators, but then they also say, and they do say some elements, but they also say here, however, these optics have different shapes and casings and have to a degree a balancing impact. The space taken up by the optic on the screen can be something that can make the gun perform better. So they do say that it's just personal preference, but also it is a balancing thing. So yeah, they're not going to be giving all operators 1x's, and it seems like they're going to keep it very limited, which is a pity, and I am sad about that. So on top of that, we want operators to feel different and have specific identity. Our intent is to give players a reason to choose certain operators over others. But guys, is a 1x a reason for picking an operator over another one? Does it also change their identity, whether they have a reflex or a red dot or a Russian reflex? Does that change the identity of the operator and your picking choice over it? Or is it just a nice comfort thing? So yeah, we're not getting 1Xs on all guns. And it sounds like we're going to keep to the limited thing where we just have like 3 1Xs to choose from and that's it. So yeah, really sucks. I would prefer more of a Call of Duty approach actually here, where you can just put anything on your gun you want. But it's unfortunate that that is not the case. And then you've got a link here to the Logic Bomb podcast where they had one of the devs on who was specifically talking about the sights and the changes. So if you want to get any more information on that, you can. And yeah, that is it. They've got the assets updated here for the different weapons, sights and things that people are going to have options on. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below and give me your 2 cents. Also, let me know if you think there's people who should be buffed or nerfed that haven't been touched in this update. And of course, there'll be a link to this blog post in the comments below if you want to go read all the stuff that developers have to say about their changes. Anyway guys, thanks for watching and I'll catch you next time.